but something that a lot of disabled people experience is that like we are like people assume that we're not sexual, or like we don't have a love interest, and we don't like that's not something that's like on our radar, which like isn't true at all. So that's kind of like my love story. And then I wanted to introduce Anna and Sean. I don't know if there's any way we can like make their Zoom box. Yes, please ask questions.
So you mentioned that you're just now kind of discovering how to navigate feelings and relationships and all this, that, and the other. Would you say that's because it was not something that was really talked about to you, or be the reason behind that?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of like low expectations, and stigma about like not having a significant other, and then also just like culture, like my family's culture, like that wasn't something that we focused on. I think there was one time in like 8th grade, I asked this boy to the dance, and like I got in trouble for that. So that was like, kind of a formative experience in my dating life. And I was like, oh, maybe we won't do that again because I don't want to get in trouble. Um, so okay, well, it looks like Anna is pinned. So Anna, this is my friend Anna Montaldo. She is the founder of CP Life and the current executive director of Community Power Project, which is our new little nonprofit project that we are and just kind of basically the mission is supporting disabled adults to meet their creative goals. So just helping disabled adults do whatever. So Anna, if you want to kind of share your love story and maybe like a few sentences, and then I'll introduce Sean, and then we can do like group Q&A.
Yeah, that sounds good. So hi everyone, like Sarah said, my name is Anna, and my story is a little bit different because I dated in my junior year of high school. I dated somebody who was completely blind, and I thought that was a good idea at first. I was 17, I never had a boyfriend, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like, he romantic, he really cared about me, and we had a lot of common interests, like technology and figuring out the world as disabled people. However, it became apparent to me who for those of you who probably don't know, I have cerebral palsy with physical disability. That means I need mobility help. So it became apparent to me that if we wanted to date as romantically and as independently as possible, that would not ever be possible, because how would he be able to see what I needed? And we had a lot of arguments and disagreements. He said I wanted independent enough, and he really didn't understand the boundary that my number one priority is keeping me safe so I don't fall over or trip or injure myself. And he really didn't do that. And so we ultimately didn't work out because he had a disability independent, and he was really, really mean and toxic. But that's okay. Now I'm not dating anyone, and I'm very, very happy that way. So that's kind of my story.
Amazing. Thank you, Anna. All right. So next up, you're getting applause. I think you can hear it, but you were getting applause. Okay. With Sean, and Sean is an author, an advocate, and runs this incredible podcast called Crippled by Culture, where he interviews celebrities and non-celebrities, I don't know, about the intersection of literally everything and disability. So it's very fun. If you've never listened to it before, I highly recommend. Sean communicates through text, and so he's either going to text me or type into the chat and we'll read it out. But Sean is an author. He's written a whole book called Pure Love, or Is It, which is a spicy queer romance novel. Highly recommend. Sean, what's your love story? Gorgeous. Okay, it's in the chat. Can you guys, one of you guys read it? Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So Sean said, "Hi everyone, my name is Sean. I'm a Black man with a white tracheostomy breathing tube. My dating life has been non-existent. I have not been able to find any guy who has been genuinely interested in me. I did have one person who was hard of hearing. That's never worked out, and neither has online dating."
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. Okay, so common theme here is we're not successfully engaging in our occupations of dating and romantic interests. So we definitely want to have a conversation with you guys. What do you all want to know from us? I feel like I know for myself, like I'm super open book, literally ask me anything. Sean is the same way. Anna probably is also the same way.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Yeah. So just shout out your questions.
I can start us off. So, how do you think your perspective on dating has changed from like when you were in middle school, high school, and now like entering adulthood and kind of have a more like a better outlook on the world and kind of what that looks like?
I wouldn't say it's better. I would say it's more refined. I think in like middle and high school, even early college, like I really wanted that American dream, like and husband, 2 kids, whatever. I don't want that anymore. Like I don't know what I want right now. Definitely don't want my own kids. Like there's a lot of complications with like giving birth and being pregnant as someone who has spinal muscular atrophy. So that is definitely something that like is not on my list. But really it changes depending on like who I am talking to and like what like the vibes are. Like I don't know what I want. Like I'm just trying to figure life out. Same question to Anna and Sean. How has
Um,
your dating evolved?
I would say it's definitely evolved, and I'm not trying to sound shallow here, but one thing that is important to me is that when I do decide I want a relationship or date, I definitely want to find someone who either is able-bodied or has the same level or even more mobility than me, because I want to maintain mobility to be independent, but at the same time, there's no denying that I rely on a necessary human. So I definitely want to have a family, but to do that, I'm going to need someone who can probably either support me in the way that I can't physically support myself, or like have enough mobility that we can use or both to adapt to balance out each other. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. Sean, you got anything? Grand. So I can comment on like what Anna said about like wanting someone with like either not having as significant of a disability, or like wanting someone who's not disabled. And I think like as I've grown up and like gotten to know more people and just like been just like, I don't know, like life has just changed. And I think that going back, like I would say, no, don't limit yourself to only able-bodied guys. Like that, I did myself like a really big disservice. But um, my like my best friend Hayden, who passed away in 2020, like I think that like had I like gone through therapy and like if he was still alive, like he might be my person. And I think that's really important to like when you're working with clients is like make sure that they they check their like internalized ableism and like their willingness to like be creative and like make love work. Sean, how you doing? Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay. So Sean said, my outlook has definitely evolved. I think I am more open to dating someone who has different race and ethnicity. I would love him to be non-disabled for safety reasons because I have a breathing tube and I can't do my own care. So I would need them to be physically and mentally capable of doing some medical care. And I think that's like a really important thing too. I at one point told this girl I was dating that I didn't want my partner to like do any of my care tasks. And like this was like not that long ago. This was like a year and a half ago. And I definitely like I don't think that's the case anymore. Like I'm okay with like my partner like helping me with care tasks. But I don't want it like that's not why I have a partner. So like we have to be would have to be like really specific about that like particular boundary. So I think that's like something that's really important to think about and like what what does that look like? Like what does your day look like? How does like a partner fit into your day? Yeah. Oh, amazing. Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, Dre.
So just kind of bouncing off what you guys said, I was wondering, especially for Anna and Sean, do you guys ever feel any like guilt for specifically seeking out able-bodied people?
That's a
I
great question.
I can answer well on the typing. I don't. Well, I kind of, and at the same time, I know I don't mean anything by doing that. Like, I'm not trying to be my hypocritical or anything like that. I know my body and my disability. So, and I know that there are relationships between two disabled people that work. And if I found it, I would be open to knowing that I don't necessarily feel immediate no. For picking out a body. No. Now, if I had the opposite feeling toward that two disabled people could never met each other, I would probably feel a lot more guilty than I do.
I think on guilt, like for me, it wasn't something I really thought about until 2020. Like forced to like, you know, everybody sit with your feelings. And then like because Hayden passed away that year, like that really made me like rethink like what does that look like? And it's been like a literally like a 4-year process, right? Like I'm still not over like grieving him or like grieving the fact that like my ableism got in the way of us like maybe building something amazing together that like maybe if we had done that, like would he still be here kind of thing. So yeah. All right, I think Sean's got something. I don't think I feel guilty because I'm not trying to find a caretaker, trying to find a lot of children, but I think that's what is in the back of my mind at times in regards of being selfish for my partner to take care of me and our kids. Yeah, I think that's really important. And for like us as future OTs, like we need to make sure that our clients have the resources to make sure that like whole caregiving, like I hesitate to use the word burden, but like that whole task is on your partner. So we need to like work and make sure that we have, state funded personal care assistance and all of those systems in place so that disabled people like can feel free to fall in love with whoever they fall in love with without having to like navigate that second issues. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I have two questions. And Sean also added state-funded nurses, I think,
Yeah.
to what you were saying, Sarah. The first question is, when going to, I guess, healthcare appointments, whether that be OT or physician, what do you wish that they asked you about love life and how they could like help you in pursuing that as something that's important to your overall well-being?
I think just like if you're working with people, like just check in with them that like all of their relationship needs are met, right? Like what do you feel like you're missing with your relationships? Because like I would be like, yeah, I partner and like that would be cool. But also like what other like factors are in the way? Like for me, it's a lot of like attachment issues and like how it's just like a lot of P factors, and so like helping people like sort out those and really like set their goals and like ask the questions of like what does it look like for you, can you be more specific, because like I don't think anybody ever asked me that.
To me, it's like not automatically assuming that we don't have like because like I'm not gonna lie, like at my doctor's appointment, like they almost avoid any we made into we're having because I think they think that I can't or it's implied because I have an ability that I don't want it, and that's not the thing. So I would like to hear more conversation we made into the topic, kind of like what Sarah was saying.
Yeah, and I think like representation really matters. So like seeing people that look like you in relationships that you might want. Like are they healthy relationships? Like is it two disabled people? Is it like a disabled person and someone who's not presenting as disabled? Like what does that look like? I think there's a lot of like social channels and whatnot now, like Shane and Hannah, Squirmy and Grubs, Colin Charisma, like people are like sharing their lives a lot more. But all of the disabled people I knew, like the very few role models I had were all like, single cat ladies. Like it's just like, yeah. So like having that modeling and those like examples, I think is really important. And making sure that people who are like successfully in relationships like are sharing their stories. Sean, do you have anything on that? Yeah, so a lot Okay, so here's a fun fact. I saw my pediatrician until I turned 30 because I'm medically complicated, air quotes. And I was transitioning to all new doctors, so they wanted to make sure that there was someone who like knew my history and could like be like a resource to all my new doctors. But yeah, so that's a thing that happens. You stay with your pediatric doctors for a really long time. Like I went to children's until I was 22. Anna, Sean, do either of you still go to children's?
I do.
Yeah.
My eyesight and I have minimum and I in my health. So my mom basically told me she would never test me out.
Yeah. Which is like really lovely, but also like disabled kids grow up. Let's turn them into adults. Like, okay, yeah. Sean got kicked out. That's good. I'm glad they were assuming you were a competent adult because some of us didn't get that. Yeah.
I also can speak to a little bit about the pediatrician and like the age limits that Sarah, Anna, and Sean had mentioned, just because my brother recently turned 19 and we went through legal processes for guardianship because he has autism. And it's actually a area that is being like studied and researched about how important it is to work on that transition to primary care physicians, because there is this idea that they can stay with a pediatrician for a certain, amount of years, because that's like still very common. And there are some research areas right now that are stating that, pediatricians should be working more on transitioning and making sure that they have connections and services that they do need. So they have not talked to my brother about switching either to like a primary care physician. So, oh, and Sean asked a question. Let me see here.
I think it was about like power of attorney for your brother. That might be a good follow-up conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, disabled kids grow up. When I was diagnosed, they were like early adolescence. That's all she's got. And then when I turned 2, there were like some pretty like significant changes in the SMA research field. And my doctor was like, no, like she'll go to college. Like we'll be able to like, keep her alive through then. I don't know, for those of you that don't know, spinal muscular atrophy, I think at one point was the number one genetic killer of infants, which is what I have. So that's super fun. And I think that it was just like never expected I would grow up and like have these like adult relationship needs, and like, or if it was just like overlooked because like who's going to take me to the bathroom is far more important than who I'm dating, you know? So I think it's just like a lot of times we don't talk about it. Mel.
I guess going off of Hannah's question about like medical staff, I also was wondering if you were like ever experienced, well, probably, but ever experienced bias in regards to your sexual health? Like, do they ask you about those routine like procedures, like pap smears, give you STD testing, ask you if you're sexually active? And also, I guess I had a question about like, how do you feel about, like systemic issues? Like I remember hearing about how people who are disabled don't like to get married because then they start losing their insurance, like Medicaid.
Yeah, I'll speak to that last bit first because it's what I'm most comfortable with. Yeah, so until recently in Missouri, like until August, there was policy in place that said if you have a spouse that has income, your spouse's income gets counted toward your income, and therefore you will lose your benefits. That very recently got changed, and now people with disabilities can get married, and the first $50,000 that their spouse makes a year doesn't get counted toward their income, which is huge. And it doesn't, but it's really not, right? Like that's not that much money. So that just something we have to do at this systems level and just like change that policy. And then